So what was your reaction to?
I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was really angry. I was really pissed. I was like, I was already thinking about leaving, and then they told me I couldn't do it. And if you tell me that I can't do something, I'm going to do it. So you cannot tell me what I cannot do. So
you must be a difficult kid.
Yeah, for sure.
to
Absolutely. Ask my mother, ask my girlfriend, ask my brother, ask everybody. Okay, GM. Welcome back to the PPC Mastery Podcast. This is episode
number
3.
Well, basically number 2, but
yeah, if you don't count the intro.
We had a small intro.
Exactly. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to acquire customers or clients as a freelancer, as an agency maybe as well. And I think we want to do that by explaining what our stories are from getting clients for ourselves and some strategies in how you can get clients as a freelancer, but also how to retain them. Maybe we'll cut it up in the next episode, talk about that as well. But yeah, I think today we're just going to be talking about our stories, how we got our clients, how we do sales, business types, etc. So maybe you can kick it off with the story of how did you get your first client?
My first client. Well, that's a while ago.
Yeah.
I guess my first client came in 7 years ago, maybe even 8. Nice. I think 8 years from today. And actually, my first client came in from a freelancing platform called freelancer.nl. Maybe you know the freelancing platform. Mm-hmm. So when I first started out freelancing, I basically started out freelancing as a side hustle. Yeah. So I was working at an agency full time. And then in the evening hours and in my weekends, I started out freelancing. I think I explained that in a previous episode. And I got my first client through a platform called freelancer.nl. And that's where a lot of companies, especially small-sized companies, basically create an advert where they are saying, hey, I'm looking for a online marketing specialist or a Google Ads specialist in particular for this case. This is my budget. This is what I need. And you were able, as a member of the platform, to basically send over a offer. And you had to compete with other Google Ads specialists as well. So I got my first client, I think my first 2 clients from that particular platform, where I basically lowballed my offers. Because I wanted to start off gaining some traction. I wanted to get in some clients, some names, some experience already. So yeah, it's kind of boring, but this platform really helped me to kickstart my freelancing journey. So after I got my first clients, that's when I started experimenting with some other organic strategies as well. So what I'm really fond of, and I'm still fond of that strategy, is using LinkedIn, organic search. So a lot of people are still not using that tactic properly. And I was, I guess, one of the first ones that really leveraged the search function within LinkedIn, where you can actually search on content instead of people, where you can then sort based on the post date of someone that posted, hey, I'm looking for a Google Ads specialist, or I'm looking for a SEA specialist, or a Google Ads or AdWords freelancer. So I had this big list of all of the keywords that people could possibly use inside of their LinkedIn post. And that's where I got my next 3 clients from. And from that point, I had like 5 or 6 clients already, which came in sort of organic. At least I didn't have to pay a lot of money for them to get in contact with them, to acquire them. So those are my first clients. Really interested in how you got your first client. Yeah,
it's sort of similar, but not exactly the same. But I went on Indeed, which is Indeed.nl, job board in the Netherlands. And I was still working at an agency. So I was also trying to get my first freelance client on the side. And actually, they told me that I was not allowed to do it. So
really?
Yeah, I asked them, I'm thinking about doing like a little side hustle, and can I do it? And they went to talk about it with the board and everything. And then they told me, first they said, yeah, I think it's going to be fine and no problem. And then once I actually landed the client, I said, yeah, I got a client. I didn't mention the name, but they then told me that I wasn't allowed to do it. Yeah.
So was it because of a conflict of interest, or what was the reason?
I think probably something like that. Yeah. Like I'm working at an agency and they don't want the people to work with clients because potentially they could work for them as well. But yeah, anyway, I don't know exactly the reason, but I did it anyway. Yeah, I was like, fuck this.
So what was your reaction to?
I was pissed.
Yeah.
I was really angry. I was really pissed. I was like, I was already thinking about leaving, and then they told me I couldn't do it. And if you tell me that I can't do something, I'm gonna do it. So you cannot tell me what I cannot do. So
you must be a difficult kid.
Yeah, for sure. To absolutely. Ask my mother, ask my girlfriend, ask my brother, ask everybody. Yeah. No, but yeah, I was furious, and I thought, yeah, suck it. I'm gonna do it anyway.
I'm gonna freelance full time.
But first, the client that I got was through Indeed, which is a job board in the Netherlands. For those who don't know, and I looked for jobs that were already open for a few months. Regular job openings, so not freelance positions, but just regular jobs. And then I emailed them asking like, okay, I see you have this job opening. I can maybe help you out on a freelance basis. I had a reduced hourly rate as well back then. And I said, maybe I can help you out until you find someone to come work in your team. Yeah. And as you know, the Google Ads market is still very hot. Yeah. And it's hard to find good specialists. So I ended up working with that first client, which was LED Stores from Kamal Tas. I ended up working with him for I think year and a half or so until we finally split it up. So that was the story of my first client, just by being bold.
Did you kept working for them when they even hired a Google Ads specialist, when they found one, or did you basically end your contract when they found a full-timer?
Yeah, exactly. I ended the contract before that. Was other reasons why I left there. But yeah, in the end, they ended up hiring someone.
So it was still a 1.5 year period that you... Okay, wow. Yeah,
and it was really nice because they allowed me to work with them on the side when I was working in an agency. I got trust and confidence that this was actually possible. And then after that, I started to get more clients through, like you said, LinkedIn as well. Got a recruiter that reached out to me with the big job. I think I mentioned in the last podcast at Ring. And then after that, it was all inbound.
So did the recruiter try to hook you in with a job offer, or?
No, freelance. Yeah, interim.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He just said, I have this interim job, 32 hours per week or 36, which was really big. And he asked if I was available, and I actually quit my job on that day. So I was available. Yeah, I'm available. Let's go.
It was meant to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So did you do a lot of interim work in the past, in the beginning, or did you find a lot of clients, like a mixed bag of clients, low value clients, high value clients right from the start? How did your client composition portfolio look like?
Yeah, the first client that I got was LED Stores, like I said, which is pretty big, 8 figures company. Yeah. A lot of different stores in all over Europe. That was the first one. Then I got Ring. Ring is also a really big brand. Like they were already bought by Amazon for, I think, $1 billion or so, like a few years ago. Yeah. A few years before that. Yeah. And they were at Shark Tank. So I had already a portfolio of big clients, even though it was small portfolio. But then through LED Stores, I was actually working with a Google team, and this was the best Google team that I've ever worked with. I know everybody's always hating on the Google reps, and oftentimes rightly so, but this team, led by Axel, and later on Julia was in that team as well. They really helped me because Axel referred me then from LED Stores to Exter, and Exter, I'm still working with them now, and yeah, it's so much fun to work with these guys. I also
work with these guys.
Yeah?
Yeah, for my biggest client.
Nice.
I also
really?
work with them. Yeah.
We have to talk a little bit off camera. Nice.
They're great people.
Yeah. And he helped me. He referred me to Exter, and then my portfolio grew, and then everything started to spiral into more and more clients from there. So I think referral was really important. But those type of clients that I got from that Google team were all like those big ones, So I had a few smaller clients as well, but my portfolio was usually already filled up because all of the clients were like really big spenders.
So you had to make a lot of hours on a weekly basis already, right? So you couldn't handle 10 plus clients.
No, exactly. No. I think at the most I had like
big ones.
5 or 6. Yeah, exactly. Maybe 7 sometimes with a few smaller ones next to it. But how was that for you then? Because I know you had at some point like 20 plus clients or something?
No, I think close to 20 on my highest point, my close to burnout point.
Yeah. Highest point, more like lowest point.
Yeah. So my path went a little bit differently. Yeah. So I started out freelancing in the evening hours. That's when I managed to get like up to 6-7 clients from all of these organic inbound platforms like LinkedIn, freelance.nl. I even started out a small Google Ads campaign for myself, which also worked great. But once I made the switch from basically quitting my job full-time at the agency and then starting out freelancing full-time myself, I still had this gap of, I guess, 2-3 days a week. I had like 2 or 3 days a week filled with these clients. And that's when I was offered a interim job at a big agency in the southern part of the Netherlands. And that's when I moved over there. And actually, I first started out on a 2-day-a-week basis, then managed to grow to a 3-day-a-week basis because they really needed the amount of hands. They had like the very big Dutch clients that they had to run the ads for. They didn't have the personnel. They really had problems hiring, and I had to basically educate some other Google Ads specialists on the job as well. So that's when I took the remaining part of the freelance clients that I started working for and moved them to my weekends. I was like, yeah, I can do this extra day a week, no problem. So that's when the journey started. But that job basically ended at one point in time. I worked there for, I guess, 7-8 months. So quite a long period for an interim job, or not, depends what you're used to. But for me, it was a long period. And after that, once the interim job ended, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm now used to these sick revenues right from the start, basically working my ass off 6 days, 7 days a week. And if one of these bigger interim jobs just disappears, then that's a big hole in your revenues, monthly revenues. And just looking at the clients in particular, the freelance clients I had personally, that was already doing great revenues on a month already. But it didn't felt that way. It was like, okay, if they stop right now, that's a 50% cut in my revenue. And I do not want to have this again in the near future. So that's when I said no to every single interim job available, since I wanted to have this mixed bag of high value, low value clients to basically spread around the risks. And really happy with that decision ever since. So how did you do that? Because you worked for all of the bigger clients until, last year, recently. Weren't you afraid of these risks?
Not really, because I think this is also the difference between us and how we look at risk. This is, I think we can speak about this for a whole episode. It's actually quite an interesting topic, I think. But no, I always looked at it from a perspective of, if a client goes away, then I always had the feeling that I can get a new client within a week. To some people that might sound arrogant, but I'm just being realistic, looking at how the Google Ads market is. And if you are a good Google Ads specialist and you already have like a name, if you're new, then of course you need to build up your portfolio. But I had already worked at an agency for 2.5 years with 50
connections.
With 50 plus clients there, had connections. Then I was freelancing, had built up really nice connections. People were referring me. I was already saying no to a lot of jobs because I was just full. So I was either saying no or pushing them to other Google Ads specialists. So I never really had that feeling of, oh, what if one goes away? Because I always felt like, I can just fill it up. And also sometimes it's nice if a client falls away, because then you have a little bit more time to think, to see clearly where you want to go. Do I actually even want to work as many hours that I'm working? All these things. So
sometimes other people have to make these decisions for you.
Exactly.
That's how it works.
For sure. But you mentioned that your focus is a lot on inbound. What would you recommend to somebody starting out now? Maybe someone, because we get these messages a lot from people that are working at agencies with the same background as us. And then they say, I'm working here now 2, 3, 4, 5 years. How can I start freelancing? What would you recommend to them?
I really think it's a personal thing. I absolutely despise doing sales, outbound sales. That's the one thing I hate most. So I haven't done any outbound sales at all. I haven't done any outbound at all to obtain clients at least. So everything that I did was basically focused around inbound. So I think it's the best strategy, because there's already some great intent at people that are looking to work with you already. So a lot of people contacting me right now, they are already sold on the idea. I want to work with Bob or I want to work with Miles instead of when you are the guy reaching out to them by telephone, by mail. Hey, I'm this Google Ads specialist. How are your ads doing? Can I perform a free audit? I'm not saying that doesn't work, but it's not just my kind of style. Yeah. So if you want to be aggressive and if you want to grow real fast, then I think doing outbound sales is a great tool, but you have to be the kind of person to do it. Yeah. And I'm really of the camp of consultative selling. So I really like to be that honest consultant that sells based on the stuff the client actually needs. Yeah. And that has worked wonders for me. So I haven't changed anything at all because that was my success formula.
And what does that look like for you? What do you mean with consultative selling?
So it's not really looking at the stuff you can sell or you can do for the account. Oh, this client isn't doing YouTube, or this client isn't doing upper funnel at all, or they're not doing remarketing, or they should do a PMAX when it isn't a logical thing to do for them. That's not how I look at accounts or proposals. I look at, well, what are you doing right? What's going wrong? Where can you improve? And basically that was my plan. I created a game plan on all of the specific parts within the account, within the strategy, within the tactics where the account could improve on. And I basically wrote this long strategy game plan document, which basically gave the information free of charge because I didn't sold on that specific moment. Yeah. But since I did it this way, it was, clients immediately trusted me. Like, oh, this guy is doing the best for me and for my account, instead of just running through a list of, hey, we can do this upper funnel campaign where I can buy you 1 million impressions for 5,000 euros. Yeah. Or if you want to go for 5 million, it costs 1,000 euros per month. That's not how I like to approach things. Yeah. So I was really honest with myself and with the clients, and basically then looked at my game plan. Okay, if I want to roll this out for this client, what is it going to cost in terms of hours? What was my hourly rate back then? Back then I was working with hourly rates and fixed fees as well. Yeah. And it just worked for me. Yeah. So I haven't changed it at all.
And how did you kick that off, with the audit?
Yeah.
And then
always audit. Yeah. Always audit. Yeah. Unless of course an account is new. But almost 9 of 10 times an account has an history, or they have done some Google Ads in the past. Yeah. Yeah. That was my target audience as well. People that had some knowledge of Google Ads, where I could easily spar with. That was a great potential client, clients to chat with as well. Instead of, a client that doesn't know anything about Google Ads, where you have to tell them every single thing. Yeah. So yeah.
And I think the nice thing about inbound, as you also describe it, is exactly the same for me. I don't want to do cold emails or cold calling. I really hate it. I don't even want to do regular calls anytime at all.
You saw the great post by Alex Becker, right?
Yeah. Let's get on a call. Nope.
Fuck you.
I try to limit my calls to as few as possible in a week, but it's different when you do inbound because then, as you said, people are already sold on you, and then the sales quote unquote call is not even a sales call. It's just
it's consult.
It's a consult, and you have to discover whether you want to actually work with them and if you can help them. That's also the thing, because I've also had many cases where I felt honestly like, no, I'm not the right guy for you right now. Maybe they were starting out. I don't work with starting up brands that are starting out. Only what you also said, like brands that are more into the scaling side. And then I said, I'll be honest, I'm not the right guy for you right now. I will forward you to someone who might be able to help you. That creates trust as well, that you're not just in it to grab all the money that you can, but you're also being honest in who you want to work with and who not.
Yeah, and I think that's the best strategy for the long run, because if you just grabbing money every way you can, you end up with a client portfolio that every morning when you open your MCC, you're like, oh man, I do not want to work for this account. Yeah. Why did I sold this guy? Yeah. So I had these moments in the past, but I really learned from these kinds of choices in the first couple of, I guess, 3 years, because I was so tied to the revenue stream. Like, this client isn't a great fit, and it's costing me a lot of energy to work on these accounts, to chit chat with these owners. But I I couldn't stop because of the revenue.
Yeah.
That's when I think 3 years ago, I started to make a shift because I was working towards this burnout. I was like, okay, now I have to make some room. I have to scratch away some of the clients that are a great fit.
Yeah. What did you do then? Because you noticed, okay, I'm going in the wrong direction, moving towards potentially a burnout. What were the steps that you took then to optimize your client portfolio?
I'm really a guy that just grabs a sledgehammer. I guess you've seen this during my last holiday. So sometimes I have these moments where I just grab like a big sledgehammer. I'm like, okay, I'm going the wrong direction. I have to destruct some parts of my business.
It's funny because you call yourself Bob the Builder because you are our product builder, but you're also Bob the Destroyer.
Oh yeah, I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah. Something in my mind just breaks. I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm just going to make
something. I'm just going to make the switch right now. And that's when I just ended contracts with like 3 or 4 of my bigger clients that I didn't have a great fit with. Yeah. And they were like, okay, no problem. Thanks for referring us to another specialist. We will work it out. Yeah. And I was not like, okay, I'm going to stop today because I cannot take it anymore. I was like, this is my plan. I would like to end the contract with you. Here are some options that you can consider. Yeah. I will give you a reasonable time to find someone else. So the account is basically getting the attention it deserves. Yeah. And that worked wonders, I think, for the client, but also for me. So that really gave me, I think I had like 2 or 3 of these moments in the past, and they just give you instant headspace, like instant. The next day you're like, oh, I should have done this. Yeah. A year earlier. Yeah. So looking at the back to the consultative selling, because you also did this, and I'm looking at our notes. Yeah. How did you create your plans? You also started with an audit.
Yeah, same thing.
How did you sold people on these plans?
Yeah, also same. People reach out to me because I'm doing inbound, focusing on inbound, so providing a lot of value on LinkedIn, showing my skill set and my expertise and my experience. And then, they reach out, and I usually start off with an audit. It's not always a complete audit because audits, if you do a full entire audit, it can really take you like 2 days of work. Yeah. But I do like a condensed version where I look at the most important things. And if you get some experience in Google Ads, you will quickly see what the status is of an account.
And where you can improve.
Like
quite quickly.
Exactly. You look at the campaign structure, conversion tracking, then you usually already find a few things. And then I put that in the audit, in the presentation, and then I get on a call with the client to discuss it, to present it to them. And then if they like it, then we move on to how we can work together. And then we decide on, okay, how many hours do I think that I need? Okay. Then we start to think about the fee. And I used to always work with hourly fee, but now the last clients that I've worked with is a combination of fixed fee plus percentage of spend so that I can grow with them. And all clients that I would work with in the future is also that way. But I'm definitely not against hourly rates. I see some people hating on it, but
it's not really scalable. But
it's not scalable.
Let's be honest. If you can create an invoice of 40 hours a week, and you can ask 125.
Yep. Then that's come crazy. On. Yeah, exactly. But even if it's 60 euros per hour, I started at 50.
It's still 4 times the money you make in an agency.
Exactly. So that's how I did it. And
so did you also work with terms and conditions in your?
Not really. Proposals? Probably I should have probably done that more. But I just sent them sort of like a freelance agreement. Yeah, that's the bare minimum legally what you need to do. Sometimes I didn't even do it because I was just like, let's just go, let's just work. And maybe that was a little bit too much built on trust.
Yeah, tell something about your risk management.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but no, I never really had contracts in terms of minimum amount of time or anything like that. I was never into that. And in the agreement, it was just only like the price. And of course, like if somebody wanted to stop, then we had like a few days of maybe a week or so of a term that we needed to for a handover or something. But I never really did anything like that.
Did you encounter any problems in your freelance period, legal wise?
Only one time
where you thought, oh, this is basically where I needed my T&C.
Yeah, only one time a guy didn't pay me, and that was really painful. In the end, all worked out. I think it was like total of 7K or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That
it was
hurts.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like 50 euros or 500 euros or something. So it was a lot of money.
I've been scammed twice as well.
Scammed?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, what happened?
Yeah. I was hired by a really weird eco web shop that was kind of weird. They also did some hemp.
Hemp?
Yeah, they did some hemp stuff where they sold droplets and some food substitution stuff. And it was really a vegan based niche web shop. They were quite early in their move. They started out, I guess, 4 years ago. And they came in from my Google Ads campaign that I was running back then. They worked wonders for me. In case the listeners might interest them, I paid like 250 euros per lead. I had a close rate of, I guess, 60%. So, a sale cost me like 450 euros, completely fine. And they also came in from this Google Ads search campaign. And I went to Utrecht where they were based, and they seemed okay. So they just needed help on the spot setting up the campaigns because they had some problems with their revenues. And basically, I already saw red flags because the CEO and the management also, were involved in every single meeting, and they really wanted to know every single detail, every single metric, what we could improve upon. Yeah. But I was beginning. I was still a noob in the freelancing world. Naive. So I didn't see that happening, but I went there for, I think, maybe 8 times, spread over 2-3 months. So the first invoice was 2.5K, somewhat like that. And I always send my invoices after the work has been completed. And then I usually just use a payment term of 14 days or 30 days. And I guess this one was on 14 days. So after six weeks, basically the first 6 weeks are basically risk because you invoice afterwards and then you have the payment terms. Yeah. So if a client doesn't pay or doesn't want to pay, the first 6 weeks are just gone in terms of investment of your time. So after 2 months, I started to worry, hey, this invoice isn't getting paid. And I wasn't able to contact them by phone, by email. They ignored me. And I went to the office a few more times, 3-4 more times. They were already acting a little bit, weird. Yeah. Management was already dropping off, sitting in the back. I was a little bit ignored. So that's when I felt, hey, something is wrong here. So these invoices, they eventually they weren't paid. No, they weren't paid. Even when I had great terms and conditions. Yeah. I also put a lawyer on it, but it also cost me money. Yeah, I guess it cost me 800 euros.
Yeah, exactly.
For them to grab my money. But they didn't open the door. They didn't answer the phone. So basically, I lost about 4K in money in revenue, and then 800 euros for the legal fees. Yeah. So that was a big fuck up. Yep. And also another client that basically just went broke. Really? And they were like, sorry, but we really can't pay you. Yeah. And it was a really high invoice. I guess it was like 8 or 9K.
Jeez.
Yeah. And that's when we first bought our house. And I really needed the money. So that's when I freaked out a little bit. And I told to myself, okay, this is the point where I'm going to transition from a few clients that are like 80% part of my portfolio to a mixed bag of high value clients and a few more of the lower value clients. So I told to myself, I do not want to risk my invoices not getting paid, or at least half of it not getting paid. Yeah. So if I basically create a big portfolio of different clients in different niches, verticals, it would be okay. And it really gave me some financial rest.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of a diversified portfolio of clients, you said different verticals. Yeah. So you've always worked with different types of clients, lead gen, e-com. Yeah.
B2B, B2C.
B2B, B2C. That was also deliberate conscious decision, or it's just like,
Yeah. So of course I really like, every Google Ads specialist has feeling for e-commerce or lead gen or B2C or B2B. I really like lead gen, especially B2C lead gen. Yeah. So that's where I focused on mainly, but I managed to get clients in different verticals, from gardeners to driving schools to, every different business types essentially. But I also had the B2B SaaS and the e-com clients just to hop in some diversification, but also because I found it nice to see the other parts of Google Ads instead of just running bottom of the funnel search campaigns, you know. So I really enjoyed running shopping, later smart shopping, later PMAX for these types of clients as well.
And it's nice because then your skill set grows as well, right?
Yeah. So it really helped when I later transitioned to part-time coaching, but also the educational products that we make together nowadays, that we have this big, broad knowledge base of every single vertical and client type. Yeah, possible.
Nice. And I think this was really nice because we definitely spoke about our stories when it comes to acquisition and getting clients. Yeah. But I think we can also take it one step further and talk about how we make sure that the clients stay on board.
Yeah. And they do not run away.
And they don't run away. Exactly. Because that's in the end, as a freelancer, that's why I like Google Ads, is because it's always on. It's in theory, it's never ending. And therefore, if you get a client, then there's a really big chance that they will stay with you for a long time.
Yeah, for a couple of years.
For a couple of years, unless they in-house or stop or whatever. There are reasons, of course, why you would stop working with the client. But if they are okay with you as a freelancer, then there's no reason why you cannot work with them for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I think that's interesting to jump on in the next episode. Yeah. So for everybody listening, that was the end of this episode. We want to ask you to like and subscribe, and leave a review and share it with your colleagues and other people in the PPC space. Yeah, that would be really cool to us. And then we'll be back next week with an episode on how to retain clients, which is, I think, going to be an interesting one as well. And if you have any feedback for us, just send us a DM. We're also setting up a page where you can find everything about the podcast and where you can send in questions. But that's going to come. We'll announce that a bit later. So for now, thanks for listening and stay tuned for the next episode next week.
See you in the next episode. Ciao.